And I think the post is still up. I literally said, I don't ever want to be a what if type of person.
Yeah.
And it's always been my dream to have one. But yes, it was 100% sneaker culture is what influences me. It's 100% like streetwear. But when I came back, I was on Tumblr. Tumblr played a huge role in my creativity as well.
Man.
Facts.
Yeah.
And so I was scrolling through Tumblr and there was this guy, I think his name is like, I'm not gonna say his name, but he made this shirt that was like, I drink white tears for like breakfast.
Yeah.
I remember and then it was like a mug as well.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was corny. Like I didn't realize why I thought it was corny until years later.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the most important aspects of my brand that people need to understand is we don't center our oppressors.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it's like you're trying to flex on your oppressor by centering them, right? Like, why are you waking up drinking out of a mug that says I drink white tears for breakfast?
What's good, everyone? Welcome back to My First Kicks. This is episode 254. And if you are just like been listening for a while, yes, right. That's right. I got a new intro song. Shout out to my man Sango for hooking it up.
Wow.
Hooking it up.
That's a real good one.
Yeah. He gave me a full folder of beats. And so I've been listening to it. I still have to finish listening to it. This is probably an insight. I didn't pick the beat yet. I'm gonna put it in after. Yeah. So
shout out to him,
but we got a special guest. This is the homie from Chicago. Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, Olu.
Oh, now I guess I got him pretty soon. I'll be saying a homie from New York. You know, because I moved out here.
I mean, you still, but you from?
I'm from.
But yo, thank you for pulling up, man. Like I said, or if you watched the West episode, I'm rocking a fire hoodie. I wasn't gonna wear it today because it's raining. But that hoodie is your brand, Prgrssn. I talked about Prgrssn when I had Keem Studios on. Big fan of your brand, big fan of you and the way you present everything and your intention, the storytelling. This is what this is about. I love the storytelling. So for people who are not familiar with you, how about you introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Olu Adeleke, but I typically go by Olu. I'm the proud owner of Prgrssn. So we take moments in Black history, recreate them onto different t-shirts and apparel. But the number one rule for me is like you need to be able to participate even if you can't purchase anything. And the way we do that is through immersive storytelling. So I always tell people, when storytelling merely isn't enough, you call me to help build a better universe. Because like that's what I really feel like separates what I do from a lot of other people is how do I immediately place people in the context of the story that I'm telling so that they can really immerse themselves in it and truly understand and really truly feel where I'm coming from.
Yeah. That is like, we're definitely going to touch into that, but like I do feel like the way you've done it. And if you ever have a chance to whenever you're doing a showing, what do you call it? Experiences? What do you call it?
Like pop-ups. Yeah,
pop-ups. I mean, I don't know. I can't say it's a pop-up.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, maybe I need to come up with like a better term for it or like a more specific term. But like, I call it just like the universe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the way that you do it though, it's like I remember I'm gonna tell you the first time. I remember the first time I ran into you had on the flight jacket.
Okay.
And I remember when I had Fem on. Shout out Fem Dot, man.
Shout out Fem, for sure.
But I remember when I had him on, I was like, we were posting the clips and stuff like that, and then he posted that he did like I think he did like a freestyle in the when he was doing the verses every day. Yeah. And I was like, yo, that flight jacket is fire. And then I was just like, as soon as I see it, I'm definitely gonna cop. And then I went to that wasn't the first time, not streetwear flea market. There was a different time I saw you. It was a different time.
Was it like pre Black Footwear Forum?
Pre-Black Footwear Forum. I'm trying to remember. The first time I saw you, you did the full immersive thing, and I was taken aback. The full story, and then I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Complex Con. It wasn't.
So yeah, for folks that don't know, so I was doing my business full time. And so I ended up going on a 2.5 year long like tour. So it makes sense why you might not know. So I just want to give people that context. Yeah. So we were traveling. Then we ended up doing 13 different cities.
All right. So when you was in New York, what was the first one?
It was a Black Boy Art Show. That was the first time I ever did a pop-up in New York. It was in Brooklyn. It was right there at what's that really popular spot in Brooklyn? It's like a whole venue space. Like a bunch of people host things there.
Somebody's yelling at the screen.
I know. I know exactly what they're talking about. Yeah.
And I mean, I just think that like what you're bringing is something extremely unique.
I appreciate
and I've also felt like it was just like, it's been missing. It's just been missing from this. Like people just kind of like put stuff out and then on to the next thing, you know? But you're here to answer the question that I ask everybody each week. And that question is, what's your first kicks? What's that first pair of sneakers you absolutely needed to have?
It was a pair of the Air Jordan 1s, New Love.
Okay.
Or Old Love.
Old Love.
Sorry. So it was like the mid black toe. And for whatever reason, maybe because I was a kid, they sold it separately at the Foot Locker downtown Chicago separately. And
I thought it came in a
pack. It did. But like I don't know, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if because I was a kid, they sold them separately. So I was able to get the Old Love ones. And when I tell you that, like, so I love telling people this story because really it kind of explains like my trajectory as a designer, and specifically my interest in clothing. I had worn these shoes, the Old Loves, down to the point where like when I would play basketball outside, at the end of every like session, there would be a hole in my sock because I literally already put a hole through the shoe.
Oh my God.
And it was the only pair of shoes I had at the time, and I absolutely loved them. And I think even to an extent, like the rundownness of them, like I began to like, you know, grow an affinity for. But the interesting thing is I was always a good student in school, in every subject. And I remember I had to go to school with my mom for like this award ceremony that we're gonna be having. And when I tell you I cleaned up, like everybody was coming up to my mom like, oh my goodness, like your son is so brilliant and he's so smart. And my mom was so embarrassed because I had this really nice outfit on, but I had shoes with holes in them. And literally that day, as soon as it was over, my mom drove me straight to the mall and was like, you can pick out any shoe that you want. Now, I'm a frugal person through and through, but I've always like, valued like a good deal. So I went on to the like, and this was when at the time, you know, where like shoes were actually on sale. You don't see it as much anymore, but
you
like
get the 2 for $89.
And that's exactly what I did. And that is what literally started my sneaker obsession. So I, you know, as a black kid, Chicago suburb, you're gonna be into Jordans, but that is when I went from somebody who was into Jordans to like just being a sneakerhead. And yeah, by the time I got to high school, like I had Sauconys in my collection. I was trying to get some Asics, like so that's when I started diversifying the type of sneakers. But everything for me goes back to like that Air Jordan 1 mid. And I ended up years later getting the New Love, so the yellow and black pair that had came out. They've re-released them a couple times now since then. But I remember I had bought, that was like the first shoe I ever bought just for like purely nostalgia. Because I probably only wore them like 3 or 4 times after I copped them. But I was just happy to say like in my life, like I was able to technically complete the pack. And then I've just always been an Air Jordan 1 guy. So then by 8th grade, again, I was already into sneakers. So I ended up getting the Celtics Bulls, Bulls pack for $200. And I still have them in my collection to this day. Yeah, so like
that's a cleanup.
I love the eras in which I wouldn't say we're like around the same age. I wouldn't say we necessarily grew up in the golden era of it, because I do think like a lot of those early collabs from 2000s when it was still accessible, but it was still like, you know, niche enough where, you know, you had to know if you know. We kind of grew up in like the internet golden era of it. And like I'm just so appreciative of it because I wouldn't be doing any of the work I do. I'll finish it here. I remember when Nike had dropped its NBA All-Star pack for when it was I think in when the Galaxies had came out.
Area 72. Oh no, the Galaxy is the year before, I think.
But like with the phone,
Big Bang,
the storytelling on that is literally, so like a lot of early on, me and my best friend would be like, I'm just telling sneaker stories through clothes, because like Nike was always, you know, my blueprint. And like that's like being able to Google the same stories that I was reading about on like, you know, whatever sneaker form I was reading was like super inspirational. So like shoes have a special place in my heart, and like it's the only reason why I do what I do, for
that's
sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. I do think that like, you know, the art of like the forums and people getting the community getting together and telling each other the stories, like that is the part that is like, That's the fun
community.
part.
That is the fun part. It's what makes it worth it because again, you know, in an age where everything does oftentimes feel very vapid, it's like one of the biggest reasons why I stopped collecting shoes is because like over time, it oftentimes just felt like a money grab. I remember the packaging for like cool gray 11s when I had bought them versus like if you get a pair of 11s, I guarantee you're not getting the same packaging you were getting in the 2010s. Like, I mean, that was a special time like that.
I do think they brought the packaging back
now, but there was a point where like they stopped.
No, they were doing like flaps, regular flat boxes.
I'm like, yo, like 11s, you're supposed to have like
the slide out
with the slide out, and then you have the big like my cool gray 11s, that big X1, you know, the 11, you like use the tab, and it's just an experience. And like that's what I was just like, those were the moments that I've been chasing with my brand is how do I give people an experience? Because you know, especially at that time, I mean, again, I don't even know how much 11s cost now, but I remember my cool gray 11s cost 175, and like that was insane. Back when I was in high school, but like it felt like $175 purchase though. You felt like you got everything that you were paying for. Maybe again, purists talk about like the quality of a sneaker, but at least the experience of the sneaker definitely felt like $175 worth. And so
and I mean, like, you know, you made me think about this one time. Well, not this one time. There was I used to have a hard limit, 250. I was like 250, and then you were making me think about like, damn, yo, like I just remember like now I'm basically almost spending like 250 like every time I come.
Some GRs though, like, you know,
I'm just like, yo, that's crazy. And people are spending even way more. You know, but the way that like I'm very curious of like how sneakers. Like, how did the sneakers community that you grew up in Chicago, you know? And you said you're from the suburbs?
Yeah, so I'm from the Chicago suburbs specifically.
Okay, so like suburbs or like city suburbs?
I would consider us I mean, a lot of people from where we're from consider it to be like a city suburb. I mean, you got a lot of people going back and forth from like, I'll say this much, man, where I live, I'm from Glenwood, the Wood. You're 20 minutes from the south side of Chicago. You know, that's where my mama went to church and all that type of stuff. We had kids who went to our high school that would like come in Monday through Friday, but on the weekends they in the city. Me and my homies would spend a lot of time in the city, just taking the metro straight up there. But all that said, there still was a genuine community. Shout out to my boy Dion. I'm gonna send him this interview so he can like literally like listen to it. But he was like everyone's big bro, and he was the one who like was helping bring a lot of heat to like the community because like when I tell you like when you ask like what was it like for us, it was genuine. And when I say that, like we were genuinely trading shoes, right? Like again, like I don't think people like when you were just you had to be there, and I think that's why like I'm not participating anymore. I think some of it does boil down to age, where it's like you just can't replicate some of those moments in your life when you're just older. But like like. I remember like my brother had some like LeBron Miami beaches. Like there were Miami beaches in a Chicago suburb. You know what I'm trying to say? Like people listening to this have definitely never heard of Glenwood. But like we had
every time you hear Chicago, you're always like, oh, South Side,
you know,
or North Side, which is Saba's from North Side, right?
Which one? No, so North is way up, right? And so like it's just funny because like like we like were out there like trading shoes. We were specifically like the type of people that like we weren't trying to like get the regular releases, right? Like we were on the internet. There was a website called
Pick Your Shoes.
Man,
I see you searching. I was like, definitely about to say Pick Your Shoes.
Pick Your Shoes, where you could like get genuine, real heat for the same price you was getting general releases. It's like,
well, some of them were a little. It was sketchy.
Some, but no, I want to say like
Pick Your Shoes. There was some fakes on
okay,
there.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I thought like, cause that was the other thing. Like I did a lot of research to know which ones were a little bit more reputable than others. But you like, I'm talking about blast from the past. You just messed my head up with Pick Your Shoes because like I would spend a lot of hours, but the pearl blue threes, like it was just like a bunch of like cool things. My homie ended up buying like the women Aqua 8s and was like the only person like, you know, in
the white, that's a white one? Right?
Yeah, with like the yellow and blue. Like, so it's like, I also like try to tell people like that is like the sneaker community that I come from as well. It was like, we were genuinely purist and we're like, we weren't into it because it was cool to wear Jordans. We were into it because like, it was cool to find the Jordans that were made because it was highlighting this random era of like the brand, right? Like
Yeah.
the Jordan brand doesn't like, well, they do, right? But like,
but I think that they co-opted it.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
We created it.
Yes, and then they
were like, hey, now we do it. So now when kids are getting into sneakers, it's whatever the brands are telling them to be like, oh yeah, this is the story of Michael Jordan's jacket, and this is the rookie, and you're like, we were on the forums talking about like, you just be like, oh yeah, breads versus cement blacks, and this and that, like naming shoes. And I remember like, or even like when SBs were going crazy and like people were just, a colorway looked like something.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, yo, these are the Newcastle Dunk. It's based off of this beer, but it's not a real collab.
And that's what made it special, right? It's like, it was the nickname. You're 100% right. Like we were in it right before the internet really became what the internet is. And because the internet has made everything accessible, that includes for the people who run these brands. And so they 100% co-opted it. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why I'm not as invested in it as much as I was, but that is what it was like for us growing up. It was scouring the internet, scouring eBay, trading shoes, right? Sometimes there is no money exchange. It's like, I'll give you 3 pair of these for that 1 pair of Miami. Like, and you just don't see that as much anymore. I think the only time you see that is with, again, other purists. So
I mean, last time I was never a big fan of trading because
really?
Like it's only because like, I don't know, I'm emotional. I guess I'm emotionally attached to
a lot of stuff.
I'd rather get the money
and then add it to the collection.
Because like if I'm holding on to something and I'm like looking at it, what happens is I start looking at it too much and I'm like, damn, I'm not gonna be able to get rid of this. And then when I go to like trade it, I'll be like, oh, maybe I'm not getting as much as I wanted
to.
Yeah. And so you start thinking about it, you're like, no, I'm not gonna do it. So like I just stayed away from trades. But there was one time I took a trade at Queens. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say where I did it because I'm gonna end up doxing myself.
Okay.
But I did it in Queens. Let's go with that. I did it in Queens. I met up with homie, right? And the shoes didn't fit me, so I was fine with trading them at that point. So I was just like, all right, cool. Brian Anderson SBs. Okay. With the camo with the orange swoosh.
Okay.
I need those.
He's out running back.
Yes, please. And then I go and we do the trade, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, "Is he a young cat?" And I'm maybe in my 20s at the time, and I look at him, and no conversation. He was just like, "Cool, got it, thanks." That was it. I'll be like, no, I can't get like I'm really into this. Like, yo, I've been looking for this. Like, nah. And then there's another. So that made me think about this one time I was walking home from the gym and I'm looking outside. I'm walking outside and I see this guy, he's like at the back of his car and he holding a pair of Yeezys. And this is like the height of Yeezys, right? Man. He's I guess they're doing like a trade or he's buying it. And I just see him pull out the black light and go through it. I'm like, yo, this is where we're at.
Yeah. And again, like it's in retrospect, it sounds insane, but when you're talking to me, it reminds me of just like I would spend hours on sneaker blogs, like in college, just like me and my homie just scouring the internet. Like it's just, man, you're just bringing up a lot. I'm like, oh wow, like I legitimately used to be like a genuine sneakerhead.
Yeah.
Like that was like an era of my life.
Did you ever make lines? I hope you've been enjoying this week's episode with Olu. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Hit that notification, the bell right there on YouTube as well, so that you know when every new episode drops, which of course drops every Friday. And if you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple or any other audio platform that you listen to your podcast to, don't forget to leave a review and rate this episode 5 stars, or rate the podcast 5 stars. And if you leave a review, I will read it at the end of an episode. And of course, if you want to go the extra mile, please sign up for the Patreon. All money from the Patreon goes right back into the podcast and it helps me out tremendously. So please hit up the Patreon at patreon.com/myfirstkicks. And of course, let's jump back right into the episode.
What do you mean when you say
like the line up for sneakers in Chicago?
When you say line up, what you mean? Oh, did I? Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. I have done a bunch of like My mom knew this guy at the finish line at River Oaks. I'm dropping gems for people who are like from Chicago. She knew this guy at River Oaks, and he knew about how good of boys me and my brother were. And my mom would tell him we always get like, we would only come up there when we got good grades, right? So he knew like, your mom bringing you through because you got good grades. So I think my mom ended up having to give him like, let's say like the cool grades was like 175. I think my mom had to end up giving him like 200 or something like that. And he held our pair. So
he getting to come up.
So I was able just to walk in there to get like my cool grade 11s. I don't know if he was doing that for too many people because he wasn't working there when the Concords dropped. So me and my boys had to legitimately wait in line for the Concords. So I waited in line for Concords. I waited in
anything
line.
crazy happening?
No, not that year, because I remember that was when like at its peak. But unfortunately, I never got a chance to wear my Concords because somebody broke into my house and stole exclusively all my J's.
What?
Yeah, so
sound like an inside job.
It wasn't 100% of an inside job. It was my brother's best friend at the time. But I bring that up to say like, there was definitely line culture, and I was definitely one of the people like in line. But yeah, and most of the times I was in line, I always went home happy. A couple of shoes. I had my royal blue, because I'm trying to remember the last major purchase I probably would have gotten. Probably was like not the most recent, the flu games that had came out. That would have been like 2016 or something. The same year that the Masters came out. Those are probably like my last two major pickups before I kind of just like started getting into like
I know, you got the zapatos on right now.
Like that's
what are the, you gonna,
so these are Docs, but they're custom just because I ended up like spraining my ankle, and like the I had to do some like construction work, not construction work, but like building work, and the sole, the foam in this joint was actually really good, so it was like helpful.
I mean, they look dope.
So I ended up having to paint in them and stuff like that. But I want to say that was when Kanye West started pivoting into his like Yeezy brand, but also started wearing like stuff like Chelsea boots. I kind of pivoted with Kanye because Kanye has always been like my goat when it comes to like this fashion. Him and Verge, and what they did together, especially again in the 2010s, was like, I wouldn't be doing any of the work. I tell people if
Chicago
it wasn't for
ran
Kanye,
it for a hot minute.
And Virgil, I wouldn't be doing the type of work that I'm doing.
Where all right, so like let's talk about how'd you get into this? Where the origins like of your fashion? Like, was it streetwear that just inspired you? Like what was the thing that really got you to be like, maybe I can really do this?
It was college. I was a sophomore. No, I was a junior. I tell people I just came back from doctor camp, right? So I had a chance to do a 6-week summer program at Case Western Medical School. And
wait, you were going to school to become a doctor?
Yeah, I was. At the time, I was like trying to see if that's what I would want to do.
Yeah.
Because if you asked my mom what your eldest son was going to be, she would have told you with conviction, I was either going to be the president or I was going to be a OB-GYN, right? Those are like the only two options I had. And so what ended up happening was I end up applying to this program, super competitive program. I get into it, and two things happen. One, I sign up for a brain surgery to shadow one, and you have to get up super early. I think I might have gotten up at like 3 a.m. to get ready for it. And like the surgery was at 5. I fell asleep during the surgery. When everybody in the program found out that I fell asleep, they started freaking out like, oh my goodness, how could you fall asleep? This was one of the most well sought out ones. Like, oh, you basically wasted someone's opportunity, right?
Wait, where you were in this? You were
so
in
you
the
can
room,
like
or are you
observation,
in the observation room?
Yeah. But like I still have to wear the scrubs and like all of that. I was in the back there with the doctors, and they were like talking me through some stuff, and I'm like, I don't care. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning right now. So that happened. And then they told me how much medical school costs. I literally had to come home and tell my mom, I said, I'm not becoming a doctor. Like, it was like, she was like, are you sure? I'm like, I don't think I've been any more sure about anything. So I decided to pivot away from that. And so that very same summer after I came back from that program, I started my brand because, and I think the post is still up. I literally said, I don't ever want to be a what if type of person. And it's always been my dream to have one. But yes, it was 100% sneaker culture is what influences me. It's 100% like streetwear. But when I came back, I was on Tumblr. Tumblr played a huge role in my creativity as well.
Man.
Facts. And so I was scrolling through Tumblr, and there was this guy, I think his name is like, I'm not gonna say his name, but he made this shirt that was like, I drink white tears for like breakfast.
I remember
and then it was
shirt.
like a mug as well. And I just thought it was corny. Like I didn't realize why I thought it was corny until years later. So one of the most important aspects of my brand that people need to understand is we don't center our oppressors.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it's like you're trying to flex on your oppressor by centering them, right? Like, why are you waking up drinking out of a mug that says I drink white tears for breakfast? Like, that just didn't feel like worthy of like exploring.
And like, I mean, not to cut you off, but like, I've been in this, like, I've been having a ton of conversations, and ever since I had Deontay on and stuff like that. But like I've noticed that like people are always trying to find a way to make themselves better than someone else. And so and I don't know if that leads to people bettering themselves, because I feel like if it's coming out of negativity, right? So like drinking white tears, sure, funny, whatever. But like at the end of the day, like what is creating the white tears? We're not asking the main question that is just like, are these like, what kind of tears are there?
That's a really good question, right? And then it becomes less about the oppression you experience by these people, and it becomes more about the oppressor itself. And then I'm not exaggerating, maybe 3 or 4 posts down from there, it was someone who was making like these like free food breakfast, like Black Panthers, like a reissue free food breakfast program. And I was like, what if I combined like powerful messages like this person tried to do with like actual historical things? And so the first t-shirt I ever made was the Panther Power, which is where I explore like the Black Panther Party. And like, I remember with that one, it came with a thank you card, which was like on an 8-11 like sheet of paper that said like, thank you for your purchase. And like, everyone who bought my first shirt, like I knew all of those people personally, and I shipped them all their stuff, or I brought it to their dorm room and all that type of stuff. And so everyone who didn't get a shirt, but like kind of felt like they missed out on a moment, because I was pretty popular in college, I mean, as well. So like within the Black community, because it wasn't that many Black people on campus, right? So like,
what school did you?
I went to UIC, double degree. So I got both my master's and my undergrad.
Man, from all right, take it easy.
And so like, like it was one of those moments.
Man, I'm a double degree.
Yeah, God, I love it. Shout out to Flames. You know what I mean? Shout out to the Flames. And so
you're like, I'm very accomplished, my friend.
Oh, and I just no, UIC just did so much for me, man. Like I can never turn my back on them. And so like, I was just like a bunch of people were just like, so when you drop in another one? And so funnily enough, to bring this all full circle, ask me why I made my first t-shirt.
Why'd you make your first t-shirt?
So I can make enough money to buy another pair of Jordans. And when everyone was asking, like they felt like they missed out on the moment, and they were like, like when you drop in the next one, instead of buying a new pair of Jordans, I reinvested that money back in my brand, and I guess I haven't stopped for 9 years.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
But like when I tell people, I was genuinely like, funny enough, this story's gonna be very full circle, man. That's what I'm saying. I love being from Glenwood, and I love like what UIC did for me. First person I called when the sample shirt came in the mail was actually Fem. Yeah, he was like, I FaceTimed him and was like, yo, like I'm starting a brand, like this is my t-shirt. And he was like, oh, I need one. And he ended up copping that. And then he also got the Black Women Are the Future one, and then wore that his first time at South by as well. So like, so when our stories like are intertwined from like the jump. He was the first person I called. He was like the first, celebrity to wear my stuff on stage, that sort of thing.
No, man. I mean, that's dope, man. I mean, that's crazy. Because like the way of the pivot is so crazy to me, because I think a lot of people, and I do get hit up a lot for advice and stuff, and I'm always big. Take it, like see what you can do with it. But the idea of just being like, yo, this is not for me anymore. And you're like, I do want to try this thing. But I'm curious of like your creativity. Where did that spawn from? Like, were you always a creative person?
I'm sure people would say yes, but I always tell people, for me, the creativity spawns from the research. I tell people I'm a researcher that happens to design well. And in fact, like something that I preach to everybody, and myself included, you're only as good as your last reference.
Same. I always say that. I always say you're always as good as the last thing you put out. So, I mean.
So what I mean when I say like your last reference is like, you're only as good as the last thing that you like read about. You know? And like, that's the only reason why I'm like, if you never stop reading, you'll never run out of a good idea.
Right.
So like, that's where the creativity comes from. I actually read.
Yeah. I've noticed I'm more of like a watcher. I pay attention a lot. And so You know, I don't really, unless I get drunk, I don't really comment on a lot of things because sometimes I start getting fired up. People be like, I'll be on Twitter and people be like, oh, he's drinking again.
He's drinking again. That boy,
he saw stuff. Yeah, but I'm very like, I pay attention to a lot of things, and then you know, I'm not reactionary.
Yeah.
Like I try to like let things process, and then I come out with what my full thought. But like I do think we live in a world where people are doing less reading. Yeah, you know, people are picking. And I'm not a big reader myself, but like I've been teaching myself Portuguese because I'm going to Brazil.
Dope.
See the family and all that. So I've been, you know, you have to read in order to do that. So, but I've been feeling like, damn, I want to read more, and like, you know, I got like Salehi's book, and you know, I'm trying to like really dive in deep to what I'm.
You talking about the one he just dropped at like Complet? Yeah. I bought that. I don't know where mine's is. It just reminded me. I'm like, because every time like I go somewhere, I'm like, I try to buy a book. Yeah, that was like the only thing I bought from Complet.
Man, I mean, it was dope. I got it from Kith. He signed it for me and everything.
That's amazing.
But I think it's just like we do need to promote reading more. Like
1000%.
I've been noticing myself, like I've watched a lot of podcasts, but like I stick to mainly like, you know, like politics and what's going on. I want to know what the hell's going on now.
Of course.
And I'm noticing like I'm not digesting it as I used to, because it's just too much.
It's a lot. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And I always tell something that I've been reflecting a lot. So right now I'm probably reading 4 different books because I want people. What I'm going to be preaching to people is I want people to treat reading the same way we teach, like feel about watching TV shows. When you tell somebody you're reading 4 books, people be like, how's that possible? But like if you told somebody like you watch 4 different shows at once, you pick up the TV show you're in the mood for, you pick up the book that you're in the mood for. Yeah. So I'm reading like Relentless, right? Which is by like I think Tim Grover, right? So like when I'm looking for like that motivation, is just like that's what I read. But then I'm also reading The Little White Devil in America by Hanif, right? And so like anytime I want to read something that just feels like extremely poetic, like I pick up that type of thing. And so like I read the books that I've based off of the feeling that I have. And so like I'm just like, I want people to feel the same way they feel about TV shows, about reading. Pick up 4 books that you like and just read the one that's most interesting. And then the other hack that I personally have that's changed everything is I just don't take my phone to the bathroom no more. Right? I just literally take a book instead. You'll get so much more reading.
I think I'll be trapped in the bathroom.
At least you'll be trapped reading, though. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember as a shorty, like, I don't know. I also have a really funny relationship with bathrooms, but like, even I would just be as like, they're just super, at least my childhood bathroom was super cozy. And I would just be in there and just read for hours. And so like,
they're like, oh, Lou, get out of the bathroom.
No, literally. So like, yeah, man, that's like, that's like, I just read a lot. And I say like, because I'm a researcher, right? I always tell people whenever I'm working on a project, and that's probably what makes my like concepts just really appear like so strong to other people, is I don't do any guesswork. Anytime you see a project completed by me, it's 100% driven by research. And I always remind myself, if you don't know what to do next, it's because you haven't done enough research. And that's why everything always feels really complete, at least for me. Whenever I'm working on a project, because it's like I don't leave anything up to like guessing. It's just like, why is this thing that color? Like sometimes I'm like, yo, I don't know what color to choose. I just worked on a project for a client recently and everything was black and white. And I was like, that just feels meh to but it was a project about like Chicago, right? So then I took everything that was all white or like whatever, and I started adding like the Chicago blue to it. And I ended up like designing like this really cool sweatsuit, right? And it just, the color was the most important aspect of it. But it was just like, I didn't know what color the suit should have been until I did the research. I'm like, and now when people look at it, they're gonna be like, this is fire. And like, you know, now you have this idea of like this like dreamer sky blue, right? And it's just like, why is that the color? It's because of the research, right? When I think of
you glossed over, you just like a client. So like, what is, because I was outside of the brand, you know?
Yeah, so yeah, I do client work here and there. So I work with a gentleman by his name is Dion Dawson, who like I think is like one of the greatest human beings ever. So he runs Dion's Chicago Dream, where they help feed people who don't have access to like fresh food through this like locker system, where basically, let's say you have a set of 20 lockers, and each family in that community is given a day to go pick up food from that locker. So these 20 lockers can go on and feed what's 20 times 7, 140 families in a week, because every day there's a new locker combination that same family. So one family A can use locker 1 on Monday, and then family B can use locker 1 on Tuesday, because
That's
like
amazing.
And so like he's also just like
and he found you?
Yeah, through the brand.
That's
I tell people, man, like if you follow your dreams,
wild.
like everything starts to make sense. And like, and just to even make everything full circle about the medicine thing, because my partner, she is a medical doctor, and sometimes she'll come home from work and just like tell me some of the things that she's like doing, and I was just like, man, that's not me. That's really not me, you know? And I think one of the things that I'll say is I've foregone a lot of money.
Yeah.
Deciding to like follow my dreams instead of getting a full-time job. I am working full-time right now because it's super expensive to live in New York. But like before that, like I like, you know, could have got a full-time job, but decided to like do my business instead. And I've never been happier with the decisions that I've made. So like, yeah, I always tell people, whatever's on your heart, like just do it and do it out loud, because the people that are looking for you can only find you if you're making enough noise.
That's right.
And like, yeah, it's never about the fame, the money, or the accolades. It's about making sure you can find the other people who will continue to amplify what you're already doing. So yeah, I was working on a project for him because he's part of the culture. So in addition to like the free food programming stuff he wants to do, he just wants to kind of like, you know, so actually through him, I don't know if it's gonna come out, but like, and I can show you stuff off camera, but I also designed a sneaker with him. So like I technically have my first shoe, and it's insane. And that was also inspired by like a Parisian butterfly and his story of going to France and all this other stuff. And the shoe is like based off of a like butterfly as well. So like I also really enjoy client work more than anything else, because I'll say it this way and I'll stop talking. I promise. Like
no, you're good.
Because Virgil said it. Virgil said it, man. Prgrssn is my greatest asset. It's my greatest client.
Yeah.
So whenever people are just like, yo, how do I break into this industry, or so on and so forth? My first job in the creative industry, like, is art director, right? That's what I currently am. I'm an art director, right? I've never had a like full-time agency job before this moment. How did I ever do that? Because they hired me because of all the amazing art direction I was doing for my own brand, right?
Yeah.
This guy hired me because of so if you can't find an agency to hire you, create a brand. And that's why I'll be trying to tell people, like, I don't really know what my end goal is with this brand, but I can tell you that like, I'm not just Prgrssn. Prgrssn is just merely a vehicle to highlight all of the amazing skills and talents that I do have. And so like that, so to answer your question, he found me because I was just like doing my job, you know, following my dream, which is, I think, every human's job.
I mean, that's an interesting perspective on it, because people don't really realize that they can package their skills. Right? Everybody thinks they're like, oh yeah. Like I remember I went to a resume building class one time that I got laid off at working at Time Inc. and this and that. And then I ended up at a resume building class, and they were like, hey, you know, if you've done this in, you know, when you went to school, just put it on your resume. And like, and it's like, I feel like there's a lost art of like, yo, you are able to do as much as you can, and you can tell people, but people have to know that you're doing it. And so the only way they know is if you put it on your resume. You go, hey, yo, I did this, this, and this. Or like you word it in a way where it's like, hey, this is what I'm capable of doing, right? But the thing that people aren't noticing now is that now your resume is your Instagram profile.
1,000%. 1,000%. Like, that's one of the things that I've had to like force myself is like, again, you're not posting because you're trying to get a certain amount of likes. You're posting because the person who's looking for you cannot find you unless you post. That's it. Like, literally, funnily enough, I got 2 client jobs because I posted about Prgrssn randomly last week. Like 2 clients that came out of the woodworks and was like, hey, I'm literally hiring you because I seen the work that you were doing with your brand. And one of the clients was literally like, we've gone to other places ever since we worked with you the first time. No one can do what you do. You know what I mean? Like, we need you to come back, and we're willing to pay whatever your rate might be, because also I haven't worked with them for like 2 years. So like, yes, everybody listening, your Instagram is not for how many likes you can get. It's about, because I always remind myself, I'm not posting to get a certain amount of likes. I'm posting to get that one person that could change my life. Because I always tell people, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you.
That's facts.
Like, that's what people lie to you and say, I know a lot of people. But do those same people know? I know Salehi. I met Salehi a couple of times, but does Salehi actually know me?
Yeah, exactly.
No. You know what I mean? So it's all about who knows you.
Yeah.
And so like I think that like they can't, again, and I'm just gonna keep using that language because I love the fact that you had asked me because you want to actually hear the story.
Yeah.
So one of the guys that I knew when I was working with Foot Locker at the time, shout out to Mikey P. Sign, he was like, yo, Olu, I think you would really benefit from coming to this event that we having on the Southside Foot Locker. This guy is coming to speak on the panel, da, 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 da. I'm like, cool, I'll pull up. I'm not exaggerating. I come late, I walk into the spot and I sit all the way in the back and Dion stops his presentation and was like, I've been looking for you. I'm going to be talking to you at the very end. You like, yeah, you been tapped in. Dion was the first person to pay me the amount of money that I was worth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I did not work full time for 2.5 years. And he basically through the contract I signed with him, like the only reason why I was able to pay for ComplexCon was through the contract I signed with him.
Wow.
So like, yeah, like literally like when you say he found me, like our relationship is very spiritual to me. But the only reason why he was able to find me because I posted work.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to know about like, so you talked a little bit about the reception of Prgrssn when it first started. Well, I don't know if it was Prgrssn at that time.
Yes, Prgrssn, gratefully for me, has been the only brand I've ever started for.
No, I'm saying like when you made that shirt, when you made the Black Panther shirt.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it was called Prgrssn at that
time. It still was.
Yeah? You were like, yo, from the jump, you got it.
Yeah,
that's hard.
I appreciate it.
But like, I want to know like Chicago, the scene is. I feel like it's so community based. So like, how was it building the community? How was it like, I mean, you were saying you're, you know, the best and everybody loved you in college.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, I'll be on some real talk though.
But like how did you, cause like, look, for example, not to cut you off, but for example, like, met up at ComplexCon, obviously Bro God said, what up? That was the biggest hug I got. But it's just like, going to femme shows, like I've always heard how much of like, Chicago is all about like you find your people, find your people. So I wanted the listeners to understand that as well, because like I've been a big fan of Chicago music like for years now, right? So like Saba, Pivot Gang, everybody, Chance, Vince, Vic, and so like everybody. I was been listening to Chicago music for a really long time, so I hear about and see how those artists, build communities. So I'm curious about how'd you build yours?
Yeah, I built it in the most organic way. I think one of the most important things that people should recognize when they're on their journey, and it's something that I've grown to appreciate as time kind of continues, is you have to build whatever you're building with whatever resources you have at the time. I mean, be okay with that. So what does that mean is before my brand became more recognized in the city of Chicago, I had to make sure it was recognized on campus. So that's how I built my community, right? I remember the first time I ever hosted a pop-up not on campus, I was scared, right? But like I graduated. So after I graduate, like you got to move on, And so when I moved on, those people decided to come with me because it was still fresh, right? So a lot of the majority of people who were supporting me when I first, started was my college homies. And then from there, it was then the people from Chicago. But I think there's a saying, it's called like, you got to go to the funeral, right?
Never heard that one.
And so pretty much what that means is like, there's certain times where you're not going to feel like doing something, but you have to do it because, like, again, if someone wants to pass away, you can't not go to the funeral, right? Like, if it's important to someone, then you should show up for them despite how you feel, because again, like you got to go to the funeral. And so that was really probably the most important part of me growing to Chicago. I mean, my brand in Chicago was I actually had to leave the crib and actually go support other people so that those same people would want to come and support me, right? Chicago's one of those cities where like people who complain about the city not supporting them or having their back are probably not pouring into the same city. Because once you meet one person, right, like Prgrssn has like ran like tours for Femme, right? And like Prgrssn has also come on tour with me before, So like we're like also like tapping into the same community to help us push forward our things because like, like that's how it works, right? You pour into them and they pour back into you. And so like, I think The other part that would really help is just like friendship, right? Like I think even what we're building here, right? It's just like, I don't work with anybody unless you're my friend, right? And so like, yeah, like oftentimes, like I'll call somebody to be like talk business, but we end up like talking about 101 things outside of that because like it's like I genuinely am friends with these people. But yeah, I would say like the most important part for me of how I built that community was just like leaving the crib too. And I always used to wonder, and I think if no one remembers anything else, I want people to remember this, right? I used to always wonder like, how are some people so talented and like no one knows who they are? I'm like, them people don't leave the crib.
Yeah.
You can't like be the best and not lead a crib. And so like
you invest in the crib?
You know what I mean? Like, and I always remind myself, man, there's somebody out there that probably looks at me and it's just like, yo, I'm so much more talented than this dude making this brand. And probably I always tell people like that I'm okay with that, right? Yeah. But who knows you? Don't be mad at me because more people know who I am because I left the crib. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Yeah. I can't be mad at somebody that I think I'm more talented than but knows the right people because it's just like they spent enough time in the crib getting better at their skill, but also understand that skills are not everything.
It's going to get you to a point.
It's going to get you to a point. You got to leave the crib.
I also think, and to add on that too, because like, I've been saying this and people have been coming at me when I say that too, but like about like leaving the crib. Yeah. But like, I also think it's just like, you can't get better if you're not having more experiences.
100. Yeah.
So like you can get good to the point where you're going to get good.
Yeah.
Then once you leave the crib, you get better.
Yeah.
And so that room you have to have that room for growth or else you're just going to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like inspiration breeds creativity.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, besides that, I don't really know because I will also be honest in saying that it's been a whirlwind the last 9 years. I think the last
crazy
part, 9 years is nuts, bro. Yeah. I think that like when people ask me that question of like how do you build a community, it's just like
because I want to say that like every time I've been to, I want to say it is 3. I want to say it's 3 activations I see you do, right? I feel like people come around, like the energy is so dope, like, and then it's just like it never feels like you got to leave here with something right? But you want to like the change it, like you're like there and you're like, damn, I need to cop something. Yeah. Because like you've seen it, you've been around other people trying to, they're like, yo, hook it, like cop this, look at this, what do you think about this? And we got to talk about why that approach, why the approach of like, I'm gonna tell a story, I'm gonna give you a whole immersive experience, and I'm gonna bring you into my world so that when you step back and you look at it, you're like, I need to be a part of that world.
Yeah.
And also, how did that come about? What made you want to create that?
Sneakers. Remember, like it goes back to that very beginning.
But that specifically, like I'm talking about, you do build outs.
Well, yeah, but that you saw it when it was in progress.
Yeah.
Day one, it was not like that.
Right. That's what I'm asking. How'd you get to that point?
I don't know. Like I tell people all the time, if I now sometimes I get chills thinking about that original. I always tell people like I never wanted to be a what if person. I even said it at the 9-year celebration we had a couple weeks ago.
Oh, we got to talk about that.
I'm like, bro, if somebody would have told me my life would look like this, because I just didn't want to know what the what if was if I didn't. My God, am I so happy I didn't have to worry about the what if.
Yeah.
Because like I can't imagine my life looking anything else other than what it's looking like. But like that's only here because like I didn't want to have that what. Like if you hear so many people talk about what ifs, but the fact that I'm living my what if is like I'll never ever have like I'll never ever leave space in my life for like what if I did this? What if I'm always going to do that thing because I always remind myself, again, I've traveled, and I think that's another thing people got to understand. I've traveled 30 hours from Chicago to LA and another 30 hours back within a 4-day period, right? So spending more time on the road than we did on land.
Yeah.
And didn't sell enough to break even, right? Like people have to understand that like the reason why I did that though is because the alternative is staying at home. And I know what my life looks like if I stay at home.
Yeah.
But I'm always going to leave the crib if the what if is you could change your life. Even if I don't.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't yield that, it's better to try it and have my life be changed than to try it and not because I know what happens if I stay at home.
Right.
But like, yeah, I think that when you're asking about like, how did it come into this? It's just research, man.
Yeah.
Like it really is. It's like,
well, explain, because if you've never been to a Prgrssn pop-up, just explain.
I love like the mythology behind it. I hope so many people are like yo, get a chance to like immerse themselves, because I mean, and it's really cool having these type of conversations, because it does put a lot in perspective, where like I have come a long way, and I appreciate you and the way you're like contextualizing it. But yeah, what I mean when I say research is, for example, right, Bessie Coleman, first Black woman to ever get her aviation license. She flew she made a trip all the way to France to learn how to fly, because no American flight school would teach her how to do it, because it was 1920s. She immediately comes back. She starts doing these like super dangerous stunts on planes called barnstorming, because there is no commercial aviation history. And her biggest dream is to open up her own aviation school after she accomplished the biggest dream up to that point, which was getting her aviation license. She was able to earn enough money to buy her own plane that she fully owned, because before this moment, she was just borrowing a bunch of planes. And that was like a really big thing. I need my own plane to do my own stunts, but I also need to start collecting planes to open up my own flight school. And the plane she bought was like, it was a junk plane, you know, like, unfortunately, and that's the true reason why she passed away. The pilot who flew it from Florida to where she was at almost didn't make it twice, right?
Wow.
Like, that's how poor of a condition the plane was when she received it. But that's how badly she wanted to validate her like ability, right? Like, I don't care if it's a little rinky dink, if it's a plane and I could call it my own, I will. She unfortunately passed away at only 34 years old. You know, a day before the biggest show she was gonna have in a plane that she fully owned herself. And so when I was thinking about her story, I said, hey, like, I want to honor her through the dream she always had, right? Which was to open up her own flight school. So I created this fictional flight school called the Bessie Aviation School. I acted as like the program chair. My homie Tuck was like the dean of the school. And then we had class captains, which were 3 Black women from Chicago that I believed were, what's the word? The carrying on like Bessie's fighting spirit. And so when I was thinking about like the different places that I could like do a lookbook at, right? The Bessie Aviation School does not exist. So it gave me the permission to say, well, if it doesn't exist, then build it. And like, again, I think when people, I guess to answer your question more concisely, like, how do I come up with all of this stuff? I'm just literally like, I'm trying to build a better universe. Like, I think that is why I say when storytelling, I think that's one of the most overused terms right now in our culture. That's why I try to be the antithesis to that, right? When storytelling merely isn't enough, you call me to help build a better universe. What do I mean by that? We built the actual airport hangar, right? Bessie was a chili parlor manager to help save some money. So I opened up a fictional chili parlor called Peppery's Chili Parlor, and I collaborated with a Michelin star chef. Shout out to Keenan Brackett. And I then collaborated with ETC, which was a really fine establishment in Chicago, Black owned as well. And we did a private dinner for 20 Black women with a 5-course meal, all produced around Bessie's like aviation life and journey. She also was a nail tech. When her brother came into the room teasing her, she was actually working as a nail tech, saying, oh, I just seen a bunch of white women doing something you'll never be able to do. So we opened up a nail salon, and I collaborated with Black owned nail techs in Chicago. And then I gave them models and photographers to take pictures in the collection with the nails. And then we did like an art exhibition with a live art show. And then like Robert S. Abbott was the owner of the Chicago Defender, which was the most widely circulated newspaper. And he's the one who helped fund part of her trip. And one of the biggest reasons why he did that was like, he was also doing it for the fact of like, when she does this, I could put it in my newspaper that a Black woman is like an aviator now. And so I also like created a newspaper, fake newspaper, built a whole newspaper stand for it and all that other stuff, and sold my newspaper out of there as well. And so that is how like I do the research. That's what I mean when I say research. It's like none of these ideas came to me out of the blue. I literally read it, and I'll give myself the credit, right? I had the creativity to flip it into something much cooler, right? But like, again, I didn't do any guesswork. Like my next collection, I won't speak too much about it here, but I'm doing stuff about Jackie Robinson, and like, it's insane the world that I'm building. If you thought what we did was, but Bessie was cool, just wait till you see what we do, because with the Jackie, because I learned so much about my process. And I think that that's the other part that I'll end it here, for at least for now, is
open-ended right here.
I only got to this point because I kept going. And I think that that's the most important part. What it looked like on day one is not what it looks like at year 9. And I'm just constantly building on top of what I had did the previous time, right?
Yeah.
So with the Bessie Aviation School, it was the first time where we had this idea of class captains, right? I always loosely only put people in my product campaign shoots if they're like, were adjacent to the story, but this was the first time I was pulling people in because they were literally a part of that story.
Right.
So moving forward, all of the people like I have people, I'm trying to just be a part of like your campaign or whatever. I'm just like, if you don't fit the story I'm telling, it's like, I'm sorry, like you could be the most beautiful person on the planet, but I'm not looking for conventional attraction. I'm looking for people who will help push this story forward. Right. And so that was what I learned.
Be an actual part of the legacy.
Yeah. And so like, like, I'll leave it here. Build something when that person whoever said build it and they will come wasn't lying. That's how I built that's how I was able to build my 9 years is one of my best friends, his name is Moon. He says people don't want to be saved. They just want to be loved. Yeah. And that is what progression is, right? It's just loving people out loud and just believing that this is how I want to love myself. And I think other Black people want to be loved in this way as well. Right. So I'm just going to build it. And if they come, they will.
Of course, man.
And apparently, like they've been coming for like the last 9 years now. So it's been a blessing. It genuinely was a blessing to just, again, like I always remind myself while I'm not exactly where I would like to be, I can't discount the fact that like I've had experiences where like, again, if you would have told me you would have been doing ComplexCon 2 years in a row, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm just trying to make t-shirts, you know? And you would fund like, that trip and like all your friends that come, they don't have to pay for anything. Again, I'm like, there's no way I did that, but I did.
Come on, man. You got to give yourself as much credit as you can. You got to smell the flowers.
While you can
Yeah, exactly. The 9-year anniversary, it looks so dope.
I appreciate that.
And the only part I saw was the unveiling of Fem's
where it has his print.
Yeah. I'm like, man, that is sick. But what went behind it? And I know it was like you also celebrated your birthday.
Yeah. So I'm always we're really weird about my birthday. And so as I was bringing in a new decade, birthdays are always really weird for me. And so I wanted to make sure that I celebrated the new decade of my life in a way that I thought would really allow me to appreciate everything that I've been able to do. And I think the best way for me to do that would be around people. Typically on my birthdays, I like hide away, be by myself, order in some food and pretend that it's not my birthday. And I was able to pretend it wasn't my birthday that day, but a little bit less so. But it just felt so fulfilling to be around people who genuinely cared because, we also did the celebration 2 days after the Christmas. And, like, people don't have to like stop the time with their family during the middle of the holidays to come kick it with us. And I was just grateful that people genuinely did. But yeah, the 9-year was called Community is My Cosign. Again, I think it's so important just to put work out there. The idea for the 9-year anniversary party only came after ComplexCon. So I actually sold the t-shirt as my, the t-shirt, but Community is My Cosign at ComplexCon. But at the time I dropped it at ComplexCon, I didn't actually have the vision for the 9-year anniversary. But because I started the work, again, if you build it, it will come. And so same with the ideas, right? Like you can't know what to do next without doing the first thing. But yeah, the 9-year was just about how I wanted to celebrate. I made the joke during the 9-year anniversary. I said, for year 10 is gonna be all about me. So I thought at least for the year before it's all about me, I wanted to actually show y'all who helped the 10-year even become possible, which are these 14, 15 people that I wanted to highlight. And it was absolutely beautiful. So I, in grad school, started researching these things called Adire, which is a traditional indigenous practice of tie and dyeing in Yoruba people, and I'm Yoruba. But during colonization, the Dutch colonists had brought over this thing called Ankara, which mimicked batik resist dyeing, but it was much more colorful. And they tried to get it to pop off in Indonesia. The Indonesians didn't want it because they knew it was a cheap knockoff, but the West Africans absolutely loved it. And they loved it so much that when people think about like generic or like African prints, it's actually Ankara and it's actually a Dutch product. And to this day, Vlisco, which is the biggest name in Ankara, like they are still like a European owned company.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine imagine basically the product of Africa is still being ran by like its origin Dutch colonizers. So for me, I did not like that. So my research was like about the textiles and how does fashion decolonize spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically I started doing my research on it. And what I did was I created this secret third thing, right? Where I take the colorful nature of Ankara plus the semiotics of Adire and bring them all together to create these things called banjo prints. And so I celebrated all of the 9 people for our 9-year anniversary, or 14 people.
14 people.
For the 9-year anniversary with these banjo prints, where like if you look at all of them, there's a couple of different motifs. So in the back first layer, it's like this zigzag. So that's an actual Adire semiotic, which stands for like the path of life. And then the candles were obviously for the brand's 9th birthday, but candles also represent like lighting the way. So these prints ended up reading more like a prayer, where I was asking God to light the path on whatever their heart desire was, as they have helped light the path on mine.
Amazing,
So if you look at all of them, for example, for Fems, he has a mic. So I'm asking God to light the path towards his mic dreams, right? We have another homegirl, her name's Chelsea B. She's a brilliant crochet artist. So she got the balls of yarn. So that's the other really cool thing about the aspect is everyone who received their print, they immediately understood the motif. And that's why I love studying semiotics and just symbols in general, because you can really speak to anybody through just an image. And that really came from my time in China. So I spent a summer in China a couple of years ago, I think just last year. And it was the first time I fell in love with this idea of a universal language. And so even like, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent, but I even wrote a silent play. That I had unveiled my first banjo collection. So the reason why I call them banjo prints is because that's my grandmother's maiden name. And so banjo prints it's like almost like the secondary brand that I'm going to be slowly, but even this jacket I'm wearing,
I know,
it's a banjo
that's fire
print. And so like, the whole idea is like, I really want to like create Prgrssn is for like, you know, my Black side, but at the end of the day, I'm like the child of Nigerian immigrants. And so there's only so much I can do with those stories, because there is a bit of that separation where it's like, I can't fully claim that as my own. But like I am Nigerian, I'm Yoruba, and I can claim fully as my own. And so banjo is like,
but you're also, you know, putting people on the journey that you're finding yourself into. You know? So like, I mean, you know, I'm not really in touch with like my half side, which is Bengali. And so like, you know, I've been having, you know, Bangladeshi people on and trying to hear more about the culture. And so like,
and because I believe that our whole purpose on this life is to just learn who we are, and you can't learn who you are if you don't know where you come from. And so that's really like
and you have to have that want to you know, because I feel like the world is meant to keep you from finding
yourself. 1000%. So like that was kind of like the hope, and that's what I'm doing with these banjo prints. And so it was really cool to like this. It was just beautiful seeing all of those prints on that wall, like as a set. It was just a lot of fun. But like,
go to the page to see it. Go to the page. I'm not putting anything that we just talked about. I'm not putting no pictures in here. You gotta interact. You gotta go see that.
Please do. I was really proud of that work too.
For real. So we're down towards the end of the podcast. It deals with I got a last question, deals with a little visualization. I want you to think back to younger you opening the box of the old loves. Right now, your older you behind your younger self. What would you tell him as he opens that box?
I would realistically say like, I don't know if this is annoying, but I wouldn't say anything.
It's not annoying.
And the reason why I wouldn't say anything is because if I was to say anything, it would just be do exactly what you're gonna do with those. Because again, if I didn't wear those shoes down to the point that my mom was so embarrassed that she went to the store immediately and bought me a bunch of other pairs, it wouldn't have started my sneaker journey. Because the unfortunate / fortunate part of like my story that I didn't get into too much was I was bullied a lot in grade school. And I'm not exaggerating, it almost felt like overnight, once my mom understood that, you know, my kid's a good kid, so if he wants some new clothes, I'll get him new clothes. If he wants some new shoes, I'll get him some new shoes. I just kept doing well in school. So my mom kept buying me clothes. And it felt like overnight, I went from one of the most bullied kids in school to like people accepting me because I had nice clothes on.
Yeah.
And so I guess in some roundabout way, it made myself feel like if I always dressed nice, if I always was on the up and up of like what's the newest Jordans and so on and so forth, then people would think I was cool.
Right.
Grateful that like I didn't internalize it to the point where I started doing things for other people.
Right.
But like I say all that to say like, yeah, this journey was like also started because like wearing nice clothes made people think I was cool. So I started was like, if people think I'm cool for wearing nice clothes, just imagine how cool they're gonna think of like make my own clothes, exactly. You know? But like I would tell him like, I would tell him just do what you're gonna plan to do with that because you don't go on this journey if you don't. But like, yeah, when I seen like that, and when I knew that was gonna be the question, I was super excited because I'm like, I already know exactly. Yeah. Like my first shoe story is the reason why me and you are even talking in the first place.
That's facts. But let everybody know where to find you, man.
Yeah, so definitely. So please, everyone can find me at I'm gonna say Olu Originals, so OLU.originals, and then at Prgrssn. So that's PRGRSSN, and then .com, Prgrssn.com, OluOriginals.com if you want to check out. Yeah, I'll give people an Easter egg. If you want to see like what that shoe looks like that I designed, is actually on my portfolio. And I don't widely circulate my portfolio link, but that's what it is. And then the final thing is I'll give you an Easter egg. So you were asking like, was that the name of the brand from Jump? Ask me what my last name is.
Your last name.
It's Adeleke. So when I was a junior in high school, my mom shipped me and my little brother back to Nigeria. I was one of the few people that our parents actually you always get the threat, we're gonna send you back. Our parents really sent us back. And I took Yoruba as one of my classes, and I asked my Yoruba instructor, I said, hey, what's the meaning of my last name? And so she said, Adeleke roughly translates to progression with the crown.
Wow.
So the original name of the brand is Progression with the Crown. Over time, that game became a mouthful, so people shortened it to Progression.
Check out my brand, Progression with the crown. With the crown.
But yeah, so like the name of the brand literally is from like my last name. The fact that my last name even means that is just like, I was born. I was literally born to do this.
Yeah, exactly,
you know what I mean? I was born for this before I even got here.
And you know where to find me. Who is Hasan on all social medias? Follow the podcast, My First Kicks Pod. Hold on. Yeah. You've got a My First Kick story. Hit me up, info at myfirstkicks.com. Hit up the website, myfirstkicks.com. Check out the Patreon. I'm gonna toss it to me to plug the Patreon and do the Patreon shout outs. Peace.
Yeah. I was gonna say thank you for having me on. I just really wanted to emphasize how grateful I am to be on.
Nah, man.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you for checking out this week's episode with Olu. I hope you are super, super inspired, especially to check out his brand Prgrssn. I am a big fan. That's no cap. No cap. I love what he represents, how he moves within just his streetwear brand. If you ever have a chance to talk to him, he's super inspirational. And I hope you got that from this episode. He will definitely be back because I feel like we only scratched the surface. But I want to see the progression, pun intended, that happens with his brand, especially because everything that he does is always with intention. And much like this podcast, I always try to make sure I'm leading with intention and inspiring everyone who listens to this to be intentional with their time. Like during this episode, we definitely touch on, what ifs, and a lot of creativity comes out of just denying the possibility of not letting something come to fruition or sitting on an idea that we kind of think that we don't believe in ourselves. And so it just gets on the back burner and it keeps, sitting in the back of your head until, someone does it or you finally act on it. Because when we think about things, at the end of the day, if you won't do it, someone else will. And I hope this episode inspires you to kind of take a chance and try it. Because if you think about years down the road, what if you actually took that leap and did that thing that you wanted to try out, but you were like, I don't have the time for this. I don't think I'm good enough to do it. Or you think like, maybe I'm not the person to do it. Maybe I'll just give this idea to somebody else. Like, these are things that lead to what ifs. And when I first started this podcast, I wanted to act on stop doing what ifs. because when you live in a perpetual state of like, oh, what if I do more, or what if I did this, or what if, it kind of like paralyzes you, and it's not fair to you. It's not fair to you as a person. It's not fair to you as whatever facet of a professional that you are in. And you should definitely, of course, give yourself grace, but you should definitely reward yourself when you take chances, and you should reward yourself with being creative. And I think that is very important. I always stress that. I always say, if you have a creative bone in your body, you should definitely act on it. Don't let, you having to pay bills stop you from scratching that itch, which is the itch I talked about in my solo episode. Like, make sure you scratch that itch, because you never know what can happen. But you can also take a lesson from it, and you can also use what you learn in pursuing that creativity and scratching that itch, and you can apply it to any other thing, or you can learn a lesson and give it to somebody else for them to learn more and maybe pursue their passions, and maybe push them to kind of scratch that itch for their creativity. So always make sure that you are an impact, a positive impact on people that come across you in any facets of way. So I hope y'all check out Prgrssn. I hope you tap in with Olu and his other brand that he started as well. That's an offshoot. That is dope. He wore a really cool jacket, the Banjo collection. I saw a little bit of it at I saw a little bit of it at Streetwear Flea Market, and then I saw a little bit of it at CompassCon too. Like, he's super talented. I think he's someone you must keep an eye on. You can tell from his passion and his intention that he's gonna go far. And if you're watching this, thank you for pulling up to the podcast. But if you just gonna really call out that, like, this week I'm doing a bunch of podcasts together. This is dropping this Friday, but this is the beginning of the year. Just wanted to say, like, extremely grateful for anybody that taps in. If this is your first time, if this is, your 100th and whatever time, or 253rd time, very, very appreciative for everyone that taps in every week. It really, this is something that I love doing and I want to continue doing. So please make sure you check out the Patreon, because I'm trying to incentivize it a little bit more and add a little bit more. I'm going to try to do newsletters maybe once a month, and on top of the episodes, the extra episodes for people who are on the Patreon. But please make sure to sign up, because it's only $5. There's only a $5 tier, and it really, really, really goes a long way. And I would love to be able to pay for all the recordings that I do, and hopefully upgrade some things that that can possibly make the podcast way better, and also want to just kind of get opportunities to give back to the people that tap in every week. So please, please, please tap into the Patreon. That's patreon.com/myfirstkicks. And of course, got to do Patreon shout outs. So shout out to Derek Hawkins, shout out to Derek Lipkin, shout out to Ross Adams, shout out to Adam Neustetter, shout out to Samaya, shout out to Jordan Kaiser, the shooter, shout out to Jesse G, shout out to Adam Butler of the MSR podcast. Make sure you check out that podcast. Hopefully, I'm going to be on an episode soon. I got to go to DC, and that should be a fun time. I'm trying to get out there a lot more, try to be on other podcasts. I'm trying to interview people that you may not thought have been into sneakers, and also interview people that are really big into sneakers. So I am trying to get as many stories out here and have a great time doing this. So really appreciate everyone that is tapped in. Oh, and I almost forgot. Shout out Plox. Shout out Plox. That's the last shout out for the Patreon. Also, you know what's so wild? In 2024, I reposted on my stories that I wanted Sango to do the intro for the podcast. And fast forward to now, 2026 of January, it's been almost 2 years. I have Sango doing the intro for my podcast. Like, this is extremely wild. I never thought that this would ever happen. So you're just gonna throw it out there. Just if you want to reach something, if you want to do something, you just got to put it out there. Because even before we did an episode and became friends, I never thought I'd even get a chance to talk to him. And I've been listening to his music for years. And so for me to get to the point that I can call him a friend now, it's wild. And for him to actually bless me with a beat for the podcast, super wild. So forever thankful to the homie for blessing me, and forever thankful for the doppelgangers for giving me the first beat, which you'll hear still within the episode as well, for the interstitials and stuff like that. I'm still going to use that beat. It's a classic, but changing out the outro and the intro to be the Sango beat that you just heard and you're going to hear soon. And so, like I said, if you want to be a person if you want to be a patron, don't forget $5 tier. That's all I need. And share this podcast with everyone, and share the Patreon with everyone too, because you can listen to the podcast on Patreon. You can also I will say, I do have a suggestion box if you want to see more of anything. If you want to see more of a specific person, or more just a specific content, or more things that you want to see within the podcast space and within podcasting, please, you have the opportunity to do so on Patreon directly with me. You can also send in emails, info@myfirstkicks.com. I read all the emails. You can send in your stories there as well. And of course, if you want to check out more of this podcast, you can check out these 2 episodes here. And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can check that out here as well. And of course, we say each week, wear your kicks. Peace.